both Trump and JD Vance, when they rolled out their campaigns, started talking about the middle class. Trump, back in 2015, he said, sadly, the American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I'll bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And JD Vance, when he accepted his nomination at the RNC, he said, some people tell me I've lived the American dream, and of course they're right, and I'm so grateful for it. So when Republicans talk about the American dream and Democrats talk about the American dream, what are they talking about? Well, I've got a new book out. It will be out in, is this August? It'll be out next month. And it's titled The Hidden History of the American Dream, The Demise of the Middle Class and How to Rescue Our Future. It's the 10th book in the Hidden History series. And so, I basically summarized this stuff, but here it is, in one article. When Democrats talk about the American dream, they mean something very specific. This was pioneered by Franklin Roosevelt. Democrats realize that a middle class is not a normal thing. It has to be created by government, by intervention in the so-called free market. And thus, Democrats argue the American dream includes the ability to, quote, to number one, move into the middle class with a good union job so a single wage earner can support a family, buy a home for a reasonable price where the mortgage doesn't exceed a third of the post-tax household income, live safely without fear that your home will be broken into or your child will be shot at school or in the playground, have a decent health care that won't bankrupt you if somebody gets sick, every few years get a new car and cover the cost of maintenance and gas or electricity, put your kids through school and college, take an annual family vacation, save enough or have a pension for a comfortable retirement augmented by Social Security, and pay reasonable taxes to fund programs that support the existence of a middle class. That's the American dream that Democrats talk about. Now, when Republicans talk about the American dream, like JD Vance, he's worth millions and millions of dollars. The guy's a multimillionaire. Or Donald Trump, who's a billionaire. When they talk about the American dream, this is what Republicans mean. The ability to get rich beyond the dreams of King Midas, to own multiple mansions from Florida to Colorado to Switzerland, and Trump, just added Venezuela on his Monday Night Talk with Musk, to cavort with nubile young women and investment bankers on your very own super yacht or the Lolita Express private jet, to have private concierge doctors and nurses on call at all times, to employ private security to guard your mansions and wield weapons of war to keep you safe from the masses, to buy judges for the Supreme Court and get decisions that make your life easier, to legally bribe judges and politicians at every level, from the county commissioners to Congress and the president, and to avoid paying taxes so successfully that the average American billionaire today pays less than 8% in income taxes. And you see this difference in all these different issues. Unionizations. Democrats argue that unions are a good thing and they built the American middle class. Republicans argue that unions are a terrible thing. In fact, they pushed through Taft-Hartley in 1947 to give you the so-called right to work for less, and virtually every red state is now a right to work for less state, where it's really, really hard to unionize. You've got some states, some red states in the United States, where the unionization rates are below 3%, whereas the average for blue states is around 20%. Housing. Democrats say housing should be a right, not a privilege. And so they've supported housing vouchers, public housing, government subsidies, and tax breaks for developers to develop low-income housing. Republicans think the free market should dictate this. Right. Health care. Democrats think health care should be a right rather than a privilege. Republicans have fought tooth and nail against Medicare, against Medicaid, against Obamacare, against anything. Every Democratic president since Harry Truman has proposed a national single-payer health care system or something close to it. And Republicans have fought every single one of them. Education. Democrats want good, high-quality, free public schools and free or at least affordable public colleges. Republicans are working hard to dismantle their public schools. In 4 states now, Republicans have done statewide voucher systems so that the money that would go to public schools can go to private for-profit schools or religious schools. And they hate teachers unions and they hate teachers and public schools. Women's rights. Democrats say women should have the right to make decisions about their own bodies, to have full agency in the business world, and to decide for themselves if they want to divorce an abusive husband. JD Vance says women should be forced by the law to stay with abusive husbands. They want to bring back the Comstock Act, which would outlaw all abortions in the United States, both surgical and by pharmaceuticals. Some Republicans and their billionaire funders have gone so far as to say that America started going downhill when women got the vote in 1920. Crime and guns. Democrats want good gun control. Republicans want more guns. They say, if you want to decrease the number of shootings, have more guns. Arm teachers. It's stupid. Retirement. Democrats want Social Security to be strengthened. Republicans have fought against Social Security ever since 1935. Corruption. Democrats see holding public office as a sacred trust, an opportunity to serve their communities and the nation. Republicans see it as an opportunity to bribe, to take bribes from billionaires and big corporations. Taxes. Democrats want, reasonable taxation. Republicans have run up $34 trillion in our national debt just with a series of tax cuts under Reagan, Bush, and Trump. And that doesn't begin to talk about things like climate change, foreign policy, religion and government, minority rights, or democracy itself. I mean, the difference between these two parties is stark. It is stark. Is our democracy going to survive? Well, that's going to depend on how many of us show up to vote this fall.